That's the basic idea of SAFE. Those two things: have a group of teams and fund them instead of projects. But then, how do we make decisions within this group? Is something different there. And this is one of the areas where I see a lot of parallels to how we thought about organizing in the Air Force. And this guy, Donald Reinerson, who have inspired SAFE a lot, he sees the same parallels. When he wrote this book, some of you might be familiar with it. The last chapter he dedicated to decentralizing decision making. And he wrote about how the US Marines does this, how they think about uncertainty and planning and execution. Don Reinerson is doing the keynote talk today, actually, at the SAFE Summit, about how to do this stuff. And the guy who taught the US Marines how to think about organizations and decision-making and decentralizing it in an efficient way is this guy, Boyd. Anybody know this guy? I've heard of him. A few people. So he did what is called the ODA loop. And Jeff Sutherland talks a bit about that, observe, orient, decide, act. And it's one of the ideas in Scrum, actually. When Jeff Sutherland was teaching Scrum to his first product owners, this is the ideas he was talking to him about. When Boyd was asked to do presentations about the ODA loop, he refused to do it unless he had 6 hours. So I'm going to give you now a 30-second presentation of it, right? So I'm going to leave a few things out. But what his realization is, after flying in the Korean War, where he's a bit surprised, actually, that the US aircraft are shooting down 10 MiG-15s every time they get shot down one themselves. And the reason he's surprised is that the MiG-15s have better engines, better turn performance, and better weapons. And after they steal a MiG-15 and put a US pilot in it, they can rule out that it's because the pilots are better also. It just keeps winning. And what he figures out is that what is going on is it has a wider canopy. The pilots can see a bit more. They can synchronize and observe their view of the world better. And also, the US aircraft have hydraulics, so they can change direction more often. And this is the two things that he actually triggers him to do this ODA loop, where he says, it's not about having big weapons or cool missiles. It's actually more important the action we do, the stuff we do with it. And our actions are based not on reality, but on our mental model of reality. And those mental models, they need to be synchronized very fast with reality. Those who can do that and modify their actions, those are actually the side that wins. So flying F-16s, we sort of take this thing to an extreme. When you fly 4 guys together in a 4-ship flight, we always had a leader, someone who was responsible for taking care of the team. But that leadership role, we didn't see that as only being one person. We wanted the leader to be the one who had the best synchronized mental model of reality. So we actually changed the leadership role around a lot. So as soon if I was a wingman and I saw some threat up there, I would call 2 is engaged, right, 2 o'clock high. If my lead wanted me to lead the mission now, he would just say press. And immediately I would have the lead, and I would be responsible for making decision on behalf of the team. And that same sort of idea actually, same kind of thinking is what we do when we have multiple teams. So when you have a headquarter, for instance, the headquarter will not tell individual aircraft what to do. Instead, they will just broadcast the big picture. And then the guys that have the better mental models of what is going on locally, they can actually do the decision making. So we want to distribute the decision making to where the information is. So we have this as fighter pilots. This is something we think a lot about actually. How well aligned are our mental models with reality, and we communicate about it. So we have code words like tumbleweed. It means, I'm tumbleweed. Each group means my mental model about what's going on over there is really bad. Please don't ask me what we should do about it. So I want to elaborate a little bit on this situational awareness term. So that term means how well synchronized do I think my mental model is with reality. So if I have a high SA, high situational awareness, I think I'm really well aligned. And if you're in the green team there, if you're working on your code, your software, your problem, you'll probably have high SA on that. And then you're collaborating a little bit with another team. You know a little bit about what they're doing. You'd say you have low SA on it. And you can think of this the same way in a hierarchy. So if you have individual teams that have individual high SA on their parts, then you can also have sort of like a headquarter. They would have high SA on the global overview, but they would have low SA on what the individual teams are doing. So they would see stuff like this. This is another team chasing that red enemy triangle into the side of the other teams. That would be bad, and they could broadcast information like that from the headquarter. So what we have is a system, basically, organizational system, where we would think that no one have all the information which is required, but everybody has some of the information which is required to make good decisions. And in a hierarchical organization, we are sort of favoring the global alignment thing, right? We are escalating decisions to the top so that we are making sure they're aligned globally. And in the agile world, we're sort of favoring the rapid response and the high-resolution data of the local mental models of the teams, right? So there's a balance here we need to figure out. Or maybe it's not a balance. At least that's not the way we thought about it in the Air Force. Maybe you can actually get the best of these two worlds together. Maybe there's not a contradiction. So the way we are thinking about it is we want local initiative. Autonomy is not enough, we want initiative. It's not enough to let people do what they want. We want to actually demand that they aggressively react for what is best for all of us. So we also want the local teams to seek out global information. When they act, they should be really aware that they have, local mental models that are not aligned with the big picture. So we ask them, we demand that they synchronize with each other and the global all the time. So this is the role of the architect in SAFE. The architect is taking care of the mental model of the big picture, and he's sort of broadcasting that, and he's helping the teams, make good local decision in the context of the global picture. He's helping them build up global SA. It's not an architect who, decides what we should do. He's just, taking this leadership role as a task, just as we did in the fighter force ship. Another trick is planning.